Welcome to the Refurbishment Mastery Podcast with me, Martin Rapley. If you're a property investor who is worried about paying too much for your next property, concerned that you don't know how to manage a refurb, or scared that you will be ripped off by a builder, then this is for you. In this podcast, I share over 30 years of experience of managing refurbishments and conversions to help you make more profit, save your time, and ultimately enjoy the process. On with the podcast. In this episode, I'm going to talk to you about working out the cost of the works that you want to carry out to your property. And I've been prompted to make this by an email that I received recently. I can help out that particular person. But really, I want to explain to you how you can avoid being in the situation that that particular person has found themselves in. So I would encourage you to go back and listen to episode number 4, which is called How to Never Overpay for a Deal. This particular episode is going to go into a lot more detail on one small part of that overview that I gave in episode number 4. Now, the email that I received this week asked if I could find some time to work with this particular property investor who is completing on the purchase, exchanging on their purchase next week. So like 5 working days away. And they have now got some quotes from builders and found out that the cost of the works is going to be way more than they were anticipating. And as a result, they're probably in a position where they're going to have to pull out of the purchase of the property and obviously forfeit costs for probably finance, valuation costs, maybe surveyors, certainly solicitors' fees, and possibly some other bits and pieces in there as well. And I was kind of thinking, you do not want to be in this position where a week before exchange, you suddenly find that the deal you were aiming to purchase doesn't stack up. And I clearly can help this particular person, and by the time you listen to this, I will have helped them and helped them make the right decision. I haven't got any details at the moment, so I can't say which way this is actually going to go. But I really wanted to use this as an opportunity just to explain a little bit more about the process of working out the cost of your projects, and importantly, how and who can help you sort those prices out. Really with a view of helping you not be buying a property in 4 or 5 days' time and then find that it doesn't stack up, because that's obviously going to cost you way more than anyone wants to be spending. So, as I say, go back to listen to episode number 4, and that will give you a bit of a big overview as to how not to overpay for property. But what I'm going to go into now is the step-by-step process for considering the cost of the build works, the cost of the refurbishment works, the conversion works, the works that you are doing to the property. So, in episode 4, I did talk about those costs, but I also talked about lots of other costs as well that you need to factor in. So I'm just going to go into some more depth on the build side of things, and I'm going to help you understand the sequencing that you need to follow in these situations. So what I would recommend is that you need to put together a budget for the build works on every single project you go and view, with the assumption that you are obviously planning to take it forward into an offer. But in most cases, most properties I go and view, I will make an offer on. So my general sequence is I will aim to go and see a property. I will aim to go and have a cup of tea afterwards. And whilst I'm having a cup of tea, I will aim to put together some kind of budget. That doesn't always happen. Sometimes I might see two projects close together, and I'll do the two budgets that same day or the following morning. But as much as I can, I don't want to see lots of projects and then have lots of budgets to put together, because the projects start to blur together. So the best way of doing a budget is very much go and view a property and do the budget immediately after. And significantly, by doing the budget really, really early, you are aware of the potential costs of that project, the potential cost of doing the works before you make any offer to purchase. And in reality, there is no way you should ever be making an offer to purchase without understanding the cost of the works. Let me just go into a little bit more depth about where you might get the cost of works from, or indeed where you might not get the cost of works from. Because first of all, I would never, ever believe anything that an estate agent tells me as far as the cost of works goes. That's not their core skill. I'll remind you that the estate agents are working for the vendors of the property. So estate agents will, to some extent, tell you what they believe you need to hear. Estate agents also don't necessarily fully understand what you're doing with the property, the quality of the finishes, fixtures, etc., that you want to deliver. So, in reality, how can they provide any kind of, pricing with any kind of knowledge? So, definitely don't accept prices that come from estate agents. My view is that there's a couple of things you can do here. Option number one is that you engage a quantity surveyor to put together a budget for you. Now, a quantity surveyor is going to charge. Different levels of quantity surveyors will charge different fees. If you go to an RICS quantity surveyor, you're going to probably get a fee of over £1,000 for putting something together, and you're probably going to get way more than you actually need in reality for most of the projects that you're doing. If you go to a less qualified, i.e. not RICS, not Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, you will get that price brought down below £1,000. And some people can bring the price down even more than that. This is actually a service that I offer. My fees are significantly below £1,000 because I've actually got a method that makes it reasonably quick. It's got some caveats in it, but it gets to a point where you are able to make an offer to purchase a property. It's as I say, it's a reasonably quick way. So I don't need to charge anywhere near £1,000 for that service. But you are welcome to talk to me if you want help putting together a budget for your project. The thing about this, though, is if you come to me every single time you find a new project, much as I will happily help you, ultimately that's going to cost you a lot of money. And I'm fully aware of that. And that's why I believe the best way for you as a property investor to move forwards with budgeting works is actually to learn how to do a budget for yourself. I'm sure a lot of you have attended other training courses in your time, either as property investors or in other businesses. And that's effectively what I'm suggesting to you here, that if you want to know how to put together a reasonably accurate budget for your projects so that you can do as I'm suggesting, look at a property in the morning, have a cup of tea and put together a budget and perhaps have an offer over to the estate agent by lunchtime, then the only way you're going to be able to do that is by learning how to budget the works for yourself. And I said before that I've actually got a method for putting together budgets reasonably quickly. They're obviously quicker for me than someone doing them completely from scratch, but it is a process that I teach. And I teach that through a series of videos, and I'll put into the show notes the details as to where you can get those videos, how you can sign up and get those video training courses. So learn for yourself and do the work yourself. Your first budget is definitely not going to be your best budget. I'll help you get your first budget right. I haven't got a problem with that at all. But as you do more of them, you will get better and better at them. And what you'll see is that you can ultimately get to a point where you've got some templates made up and you've got some indicative prices, and you can make notes against those indicative prices as to why sometimes they're more expensive and sometimes they're a little bit cheap. Let's jumping in to make sure that you have everything you need. Now, in a number of these podcasts, you would have heard me talk about my community, and I want to ensure that you know how you can join that community. Obviously, within these podcasts, there's a limit to the detail I can go into the recording, and of course, a lot of things are very generic. So what if you had access to join me on a Zoom call for 90 minutes every single week in a group coaching environment? You could get your questions answered whenever they come up and learn from other members' questions. Plus, you also get 10 hours of training videos, an HMO refurbishment case study, some sample documents and checklists that will help you run your projects far more effectively. Membership of my community is just £89 a month. You get the first month free, and you can also cancel anytime after that. Plus, as a listener of this podcast, there's a promo code to help you save £20 every single month that you remain a member. So just make a note of VIP discount 20, VIP discount 20, all in capital letters, and put that into the checkout. You'll find the checkout on my website, www.refurbishmentmastery.com. Scroll down the page, you'll find the link for the Project Management Accelerator. Use the promo code VIP discount 20 and you'll be signed up at just £69 a month. I look forward to seeing you in that community very, very soon. Now back to the podcast. I would not be relying on builders. So much as I wouldn't rely on estate agents, I also wouldn't rely on builders at this stage. And the reason for that is that builders actually need a schedule of works and some drawings to price from. That's how builders operate. They need instructions. If you walk a builder around a dilapidated property and say, refurbish it, there's no instructions. They can make some assessments, they can make some assumptions, but again, you haven't told them what fixtures and fittings you actually want them to put in there. You haven't told them the quality of the finishes. They probably haven't even had enough time on site to consider all of the works that are needed. And by the way, if you're taking them to see a property with a for sale sign up outside, they immediately know the chances of them even getting a project from this visit is pretty low. Because first of all, that they've got to give you a price that is right for you to buy the property. And secondly, if you do buy the property, you are probably still going to put that builder in some kind of competitive bid situation, in which case the chances of them getting any work from this visit is reduced even further. So most builders are not going to spend any real time looking at a property with you that is on the open market. And if you haven't got a schedule of works and drawings, even less time, because they're going to see it as this is just a pie in the sky type figure that they can give. For instance, some of them will be thinking, well, I did a project a little bit like this a while ago. I think it was about £50,000 then. Prices have gone up a bit. I think I might have been a little bit low on it. Right, yeah. So they'll give you a price. It's £70,000. Well, it could be £70,000, but how close is this project to the one that was done before? How good was the builder? We don't know. But you've got a figure of £70,000. The builder's rounded it up a bit and giving you a figure that may or may not work. Another builder looks at it and thinks, well, I'm not really going to get this work. There's nothing written down. No one really seems to know what they're doing, but I've got a chance of getting it if I say that the work's going to cost £40,000. So you now go away merrily making an offer to purchase the property based on £40,000. And then later on, further down the line, and this may be what's happened in the situation where I've been sent an email this week, later on, further down the line, it comes to light that £40,000 is woefully inadequate and it should be £70,000 because but what happens is these builders are thinking, well, this investor will come back to me after they bought the property. I'll go through all of the drawings and the schedule of works and say, well, it would have been £40,000, but you didn't tell me that you wanted 4 en suites in this one. You didn't tell me that you wanted to take this wall down and there was going to be some steel in it. You didn't tell me this kind of stuff. I didn't appreciate, I didn't understand. I only had 10 minutes on site. It's a whole catalogue of excuses. And you've got two options. You either put up with it and probably the revised price, which could well be back up near £70,000 by now, or you go and work with someone else who possibly also quotes £70,000. Alternatively, the builder that comes to meet you here is thinking, well, this is a bit of a waste of my time. I need to get out of here as quickly as possible. I don't want to be caught out with this. This isn't someone I really want to be working with. So the quote is £100,000. Done, dusted, in and out very, very quickly. You make an offer based on £100,000. You don't end up buying the property because the savvy investors realise that it's only £70,000 and are making a £30,000 better offer than you're offering, or whatever those figures are, prorated. So I would personally, I don't need to get builders because I know how to do budgets. And because I know how to do budgets, that's why I put together the training course to teach property investors like you how to put together the budgets so that you don't have to rely on builders. And you certainly don't get to a point where you're 5 working days away from exchange and find that the numbers do not work. And you're welcome to talk to me at any stage in this whole process, and I will guide and help you. And the person who's got 5 days to make a decision on exchange, I can absolutely help them, and I will help them, and I will have helped them make a decision one way or the other by the time you listen to this podcast. But if you can get this right from the beginning, then you are now in control of the process. And significantly, at the moment, it's really a buyer's market. So we have got time to assess, and to some extent procrastinate over the properties that we're viewing. We, as buyers, are in control. The thing about the market is that at some point it will actually flip the other way and it will become a seller's market. And when it becomes a seller's market, you are going to have to make offers very, very quickly, very, very soon after you view properties. And you're not going to have time to procrastinate. And significantly, you're not going to have time to rely on builders. So now is absolutely the time to start learning how to put together budgets for yourself. And as I say, in the show notes, I'll give you the details of my training course, and I'll also put in there a promo code that will save you £300 plus VAT off that price. So I really want to give you every opportunity to learn how to do this because it is so valuable. One of the mistakes that I see people regularly make, and to some extent, I know some property trainers are training this because they probably don't know anything better. And that is, well, it's on the market for £200,000. If you can get 20% off that price, then buy it. That is absolutely not the right way to be going about it. It's all right. It's on for £200,000. You might well be able to negotiate a £40,000 discount, but that doesn't work if the refurbishment works are significantly more and the value isn't significantly higher than £200,000 in the first place. So if you go back to podcast number 4, that will teach you how to put the whole thing together, effectively working backwards from the end GDV. what does I say? What I wanted to focus in this podcast was really the mechanics of putting together the price for doing the building works. And really, the importance, if there's one thing for you to take away, it is the importance of learning how to do this for yourself. You will be able to view more properties, make more offers, come over as far more credible, and ultimately the cost of one training course is way, way less than this particular property investor that triggered today's recording is likely to lose if they pull out of their deal. And just based on the overview I've got, and I haven't had a phone call with them or anything as yet, based on the overview I've got, I suspect they're going to be pulling out of their deal in the next few days, and they would have lost way, way more than the cost of learning how to budget goes. So I don't do a lot of sales in these podcasts, but I just felt that this is a really important bit of training to have. So just to summarize it and just to go back over it, listen to podcast number 4. Make sure you put together a budget for the works and make sure that you make an offer based on the cost of the works. Then if you need to learn how to do the budgets, don't rely on estate agents, don't rely on builders, and definitely don't agree a purchase price just by slashing something, a round amount of money off the asking prices. That will definitely not work. And remember that whilst it's currently a buyer's market, now is the best time to learn, because when this flips to become a seller's market, you won't have the time to learn. You might as well learn now whilst you've got time on your side. If you don't want to learn, then you are welcome to talk to me and I will happily put together budgets for you. But, in round numbers, one training course to learn is pretty close to the cost of one budget. So, you can see the value going forward, the value of you actually learning this for yourself. And I don't believe that anyone else in property investing circles is teaching it. That's not to say there isn't anyone, but I can't find anyone else at the moment that's teaching how to do budgets. And as you'll know, the method I'm teaching is based on 40 years of experience of budgeting projects and managing costs and things like that. And I can help you wherever you are in the UK. I can't help you if you are investing and buying and refurbishing properties abroad, because I don't know how they go together. But anywhere in the UK I can help you with. I've got a method that makes no difference whether you're north, south, east or west. I can teach you that process for putting together budgets. So please do get in touch, have a look in the show notes and you'll find some more details. Otherwise, I look forward to catching up with you on another podcast very, very soon.
Thanks for listening to this podcast. Please do like, share and leave a comment where you can. If you need any guidance or advice with anything to do with your refurbishments or conversions, then don't hesitate to reach out. You can book a free call with me by clicking on the link at the top of my website, refurbishmentmastery.com. There's other ways you can contact me in the show notes as well. I look forward to speaking to you again soon.